I have a couple of strongest memories of AIDS Action Europe, and I'd like to tell them a bit over time. One of the first strong memory of AIDS Action Europe was the move from Amsterdam AIDS Fonds to Deutsche AIDS-Hilfe. It was at a time that the Dutch AIDS Fonds could not cover the costs of the network by the subsidies received from the European Commission, and that they were considering either stopping the network or looking for a partner who could take over. And that was Deutsche AIDS-Hilfe. And it was so wonderfully organized. Silke at that point was very willing to have that transfer going very smoothly. And it brought a lot of energy back into, the steering committee, but also especially in the team that at that time was coordinated by Michael Krone. So a lot of energy and enthusiasm was brought back to AIDS Action Europe. I have also a sad memory around that time, because at AIDS Fonds, the AIDS Action Europe network was coordinated by Martine de Schutter. And Martine lost her life during the attack on the MH17 flight above Ukraine. And I think that everyone within the network of AIDS Action Europe was very much touched and sad because of this event, because Martina was a very driving force to build up that network. She started AIDS Action Europe and was a very driving force behind it. So she was missed very, very dearly. Also a bit around that time, so the chair of the steering committee that was my predecessor was Elena Grigorieva, and we had a meeting in Minsk. And that is actually a funny memory of AIDS Action Europe, because Belarus, at that time already a very closed country, and people working in the field of HIV and also working with key populations were watched in Belarus already at that time. So we had the meeting in a hotel in Minsk, and there were spies everywhere. We were carefully watched by the Belarusian government during the meetings, during our visits to restaurants and so on. We were followed by cars, which was, of course, it was so obvious, and that made it also so hilarious. And then the last memory that I want to share is the moment that we were looking at how we could make impact and more impact for our members of the network, and also looking at how we could serve the needs of our partners, our members, in a better way. And we started to discuss organizing a member meeting, the partner meeting. And also that period, I think, was a boost again for the energy of the steering committee, but also for the network. And so the members, we organized, we facilitated meetings for the members to give input to the directions that AIDS Action Europe should take. It's hard to mention one moment. I have very, very pleasant memories and moments of the meetings that we had as a steering committee. It was always so nice to meet each other again in person and to exchange our ideas to enforce and strengthen the network. It was always a pleasure, and it is a cliche, but it really felt as returning to your family twice a year, and update each other also of personal things. But it really felt like a warm bath to meet the steering committee members each time. And I also have very good memories in working with the team. These personal contacts also, developed me in my professional career. To meet such committed and very experienced people was a real pleasure. I was director of AVU International, a partner organization with local partners in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, working in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, working out to reduce the impact of HIV/AIDS in that region. And I think the wonderful thing of AIDS Action Europe was that the network brought NGOs, organizations working in Eastern Europe and Central Asia in contact with organizations working in Western Europe. AIDS Action Europe, also placed in Berlin, was really the bridge between the two regions into Europe. And me, as working in that region, I felt like I could be a kind of bridge also between the Western organizations and the Eastern organizations in providing them with information, showing them again what kind of publications there were on the website, also the opportunities to build capacity of the organizations in that region. So that helped me professionally also. So to have the ideas, the initiatives from different countries, listen to them, and make sure that the organizations working in Eastern Europe and Central Asia could also reach those initiatives and learn from them. AIDS Action Europe played, I think, a crucial role in really voicing the needs and the concerns of the NGOs throughout Europe, over the whole of Europe, at the different levels, at political level, but also at a donor level. Yeah, the role of AIDS Action Europe 10 years ago was significant, but at that time it was easier to discuss HIV and AIDS and to ask attention for people, populations in vulnerable situations, in vulnerable positions, like the key populations with an elevated risk of HIV. Because at that time, HIV and AIDS were still on the different agendas. And at that time, like I said before, it was very much about, exchanging information, experience, but also to making sure that the topic was on the agenda. And what I see now is that with that shift to more the right-winged politics, governments in different European countries, and the key populations at risk of HIV, but also the people living with HIV, are getting more and more marginalized again. And I think that AIDS Action Europe is in a very good position to fight for the rights of those people. And I think, unfortunately, we go back a little bit in time. But we have to fight again for the rights, the human rights of these people, but also the right to care and health of those populations. What I think is that AIDS Action Europe will become necessary and need to be important in fighting against the intolerance and the reduced solidarity with regards to key populations at risk for HIV. And I think the role of facilitating exchange of information is still crucial, but the role of advocating for those rights, the lobby role should, I think, be more important now. I think, first of all, AIDS Action Europe should really celebrate its successes in the past 20 years. And AIDS Action Europe can really be proud of the network and what it has achieved. And I think it is still necessary. AIDS Action Europe is very, very necessary for the future. And I hope that AIDS Action Europe will always find the financial means to continue its work, and will be in good shape, and will have these wonderful people at the team, and will always have wonderful people in the steering committee to make Action Europe very lively and active and successful. Lang zal die leven, lang zal die leven, lang zal die leven in de gloria, in de gloria, in de gloria. Happy birthday, AIDS Action Europe.